even a year ago, but for sure 2 years ago, many of these things I spoke about, and again, this channel was censored, it was demonetized, it had strikes. I believe everything I'm reading now should not get us stricken, because this is actually an official report from the U.S. government, from a sub-select committee from the House. It was a bipartisan committee, and this is a recent report that they just released. So this is literally coming from the United States Congress. These are a few points which I had written down. It's a huge report, but a few things that I noted. They say that COVID originated from a lab in Wuhan. They say most of the evidence points to that. That's something that would have got us censored 2 years ago. They say gain of function research contributed to that. Again, something that would have had us censored a couple of years ago. They say the World Health Organization, their response, their global response was a failure. Again, if you questioned that 2 years ago, you would have been censored. They said social distancing was arbitrary and not based on science. Again, that was the science 2 years ago. We would have been censored for that. They said that masks were largely ineffective. Again, 2 years ago, we would have been censored on that. They said that lockdowns caused, quote unquote, immeasurable harm. Would have been censored 2 years ago for that. They said public health officials spread misinformation. Again, would have been censored for that. They said COVID vaccines did not stop transmission. 2 years ago, we would have been censored for that. Vaccine mandates were not supported by science. Would have been censored 2 years ago for that. Public health officials ignored natural immunity. If you spoke about natural immunity, it would have been censored. Lockdowns closed this is in the US, more than 160,000 businesses. If you talked about the dangers of lockdown, you would have been censored. Science never justified school closures. Children have, quote unquote, suffered greatly from these policies. If you questioned that 2 years ago, you would have been censored. These are just a few of the things that are now an official finding of the US government. These are all things that I think myself, you, many others realized fairly early on, and yet there was a cognitive dissonance. None of these things were new. These things were seen relatively quickly, and yet most people either didn't want to see them or acknowledge them. And I think, as you said, a big part of that is fear and going along with a herd mentality.